They said the inspection would cost $742 if I didn't comply within 7 days. When I checked the timestamp on the so-called violation photo, it was taken at 2:41 a.m., the same night someone rattled our door handle. My camera caught them wearing HOA badges that don't exist in our bylaws. Welcome to HOA Karma. I'm Jake Mercer, municipal engineer here in Clearwater, Florida. Father, homeowner, widower, and lately, unwilling protagonist in a homeowners association thriller. If you're new here, I expose HOA abuses and show how to fight them lawfully. Hit subscribe if you're over 50 and tired of getting bullied by clipboard cowboys. Where are you watching from tonight? What's your zip where compliance means fear? I bought this place 2 years after my wife died. I thought mowing the same patch of St. Augustine grass would keep me anchored. I didn't expect to inherit a board that thought it ran a private kingdom. My daughter, Emily, calls the HOA the castle. She's 12, braces flashing every time she smirks at the letters taped to our door. The first came last spring. Trash bin visible, $50 fine. Then mailbox 3 inches too tall, $100. I paid 1, appealed 2, and built a spreadsheet because engineers fight with data, not drama. I figured compliance was arithmetic. Until the night the badges showed up. 3 silhouettes, flashlights off, whispering near my porch. One said, "We'll mark it and move on." That's when I stepped out, phone recording, voice steady. "You're trespassing. Identify yourselves." The shortest one flashed a plastic badge. "HOA compliant, sir." His tone dripped with authority he didn't have. They retreated when I mentioned the sheriff's office. I filed a report anyway, case hashtag 23-4817, and printed the footage. The deputy squinted at the badge and muttered, "That's not county issue." He left me his card, told me call if they came back. The next morning, I found a new citation hand-delivered and signed. Unauthorized exterior lighting. Remove within 48 hours or $500 fine. My porch light, the same light that caught them. I laughed once, low and bitter. So that's how it's going to be. That week I met my neighbor, Sam Hollis, a retired postal inspector with coffee breath and a habit of tapping his thermos when he thinks. "They've been itching to test someone who knows codes," he said. "You keep everything documented?" I nodded. He grinned. "Good. Paper beats power." Sam introduced me to Mary Ann Keller, a real estate attorney who lives 2 blocks over. Ink stains on her cuffs, half her hair always escaping a clip. She leafed through my citations like a poker player counting chips. "Selective enforcement," she said. "If they let board members slide on paint colors, you've got precedent. You ever read the CC and RS?" I admitted I hadn't. She slid a binder across my table, tabs like tiny flags. "Read Article 7, Section 12. Their authority ends at your porch line unless safety's involved." That night, I highlighted every overreach in fluorescent yellow, each one a spark on dry grass. The more I read, the more my grief hardened into focus. Losing my wife taught me the cost of silence. Losing my home would finish the lesson. By Sunday, I'd mapped every property they'd find in the last year. 17 households, same pattern. Widowed, single income, or elderly. It wasn't enforcement, it was revenue. The board president, Charles Denton, boasted in minutes that collections were up 38%. I printed that line, framed it next to the notice on my fridge. Emily saw it while pouring cereal. "You gonna fix it, Dad?" she asked. "That's the plan," I said. Knowledge nugget number 1. In Florida, HOAs can impose fines exceeding $100 per violation or $1,000 in aggregate without a separate fining committee's approval. Section 720.305(2). B. Flostat. My fines totaled $1,250. They'd skipped the committee entirely. I filed a certified letter demanding hearing records within 10 days. They ignored it. Instead, they posted my name on the community bulletin as non-compliant. Sam tore it down before Emily saw. That night, I sat on my porch, legal pad balanced on my knee, humidity thick enough to taste. The street was quiet except for sprinklers hissing and one distant dog. My porch light, still burning, cast a clean circle across the walkway. Inside that circle, I'd seen how systems collapse, not from explosions, but from paperwork correctly filed. I wasn't going to swing fists. I'd swing statutes. And when they tried to hit back, I'd make sure every slap landed on a law book. Mary Ann called on Tuesday, voice brisk. They doubled down, huh? Good. Let them. She explained how timing works in administrative complaints. Each ignored letter became another rope in their noose. Don't tip your hand yet, she said. We're building record, not drama. The next board meeting was set for May 14th, 7 p.m. in the clubhouse. I went early, binder under arm, calm as a surveyor measuring fault lines. Denton opened with the usual smug roll call, smacking his gavel like he owned the oak beneath it. When public comment started, I raised my hand. Mr. Mercer, he sighed, this isn't the place to dispute your violations. Sure it is, I said, sliding a printed statute across the table. According to Chapter 720.305, it's exactly the place. The crowd murmured. Denton tried to laugh it off. You engineers always think you can measure fairness. After the meeting, 2 board members approached me in the parking lot, soft voices, nervous eyes. One, a woman named Karen who managed landscaping contracts, whispered, "He told us you threatened him." I blinked. What? She nodded. They're trying to paint you unstable. By morning, an email circulated claiming I'd aggressively disrupted the meeting. Same tone as their citations, official yet hollow. I forwarded it to Mary Ann, who replied, "Document everything. No emotion." To anyone watching, it might have looked like they were winning, but I'd already started the dig. Every engineer has a weakness for schematics, and HOAs hide their power in paperwork. I requested the association's insurance certificate and vendor list. Public understate statute. They refused. I filed a formal records request through the county clerk. 2 days later, a thumb drive arrived, untidy PDF scans, timestamp logs, and 1 mislabeled folder. Unit easements, historical. Inside were plats dated 1997 showing drainage access behind my fence. Owned not by the HOA, but by Clearwater Utilities, city property. Meaning the HOA had no jurisdiction on that 10-foot strip. They'd cited me for weed overgrowth. I printed the map, circled parcel 14B, and whispered, "Gotcha." Knowledge nugget number 2. Easements often remain city-controlled, even when an HOA claims maintenance rights. Jurisdiction determines enforcement power. Misrepresenting can void citations and expose officers to liability. The next Saturday, Sam and I measured property lines with a 100-foot tape, metal clicking every few feet. 9.8, he said, stretching the reel, right where city land begins. We marked it with biodegradable paint and took photos, time-stamped, GPS tagged. Evidence. Then came the retaliation. First, a noise citation. Garage activity after 10 p.m. I was tightening bolts on a bike rack at 9:17, confirmed by Nest footage. Next, a wellness check. 2 officers knocking politely, saying someone from the HOA called about domestic disturbance. Emily was asleep. I was reading case law. The officers apologized, rolled their eyes, and left. Then came social warfare. Posts on the neighborhood forum about dangerous behavior, former military temperament. I was never in the military, but logic doesn't matter when gossip gets likes. One night, I caught Emily reading the thread. Face pale. "They think you're crazy," she said softly. I took her phone. "Close the app. They're scared of losing control." I said, "That's all this is." By now, my certified letters filled a drawer. 12 envelopes, each signed for. I logged every delivery in a spreadsheet with dates, response times, and violations of their own charter. Mary Ann called it the slow kill. In June, Denton issued a final demand, $2, for 100 in accumulated fines plus administrative fees. That number did it. I requested a ledger and receipt breakdown. Instead, they scheduled a lien vote. Sam leaned against my porch railing that night, thermos in hand. "They think they're scaring you." "They're teaching me," I said. He chuckled. "That's the spirit. What's next?" I buy something they don't know they sold. He raised an eyebrow. You're going shopping? Sort of, I said, tapping the folder marked utility easement transfer rights. Clearwater had an unused maintenance contract expiring August 1st. The HOA never renewed its access permit. That meant the city could reassign maintenance and legal oversight to a private party with proper licensing. Marianne confirmed it. You could form an LLC, bid on it quietly, and own their Achilles heel, she said. So I did. I filed Sunline Compliance LLC on June 19th, registered agent my cousin in Orlando, address a mailbox downtown. Within 2 weeks, Clearwater transferred the parcel maintenance contract. 10 feet of dirt they thought was theirs. I now had inspection rights, including access logs for any trespass or alteration. The countdown began. 43 days until renewal review, 20 until the next HOA meeting. That's when I got the flyer. Emergency board session. Security incident. Inside the clubhouse, Denton stood before a slideshow of my porch camera stills. This resident films volunteers at night, he said, voice booming. He's creating a hostile environment. I stepped up. Those volunteers trespass on city land at 2:41 a.m. Here's the footage, officer. A uniformed deputy, same one from my first report, plugged in a USB. The room fell silent as a projector lit their fake badges. Denton swallowed. This is taken out of context. Context is a law, I said. Afterward, Marianne called, laughing quietly. That's leverage, Jake. Keep it sealed till the set piece. Outside, the rain had started, fat drops thudding on asphalt. I stood under the awning, watching puddles swallow reflections of porch lights. Emily texted, did it work? Not yet, I typed, but they flinched. By July, the air felt thick with humidity and rumors. Denton started patrolling the neighborhood with a clipboard again, pretending to check gutters, but really scanning for allies. You could sense fear in the way people waved, short, guilty gestures like they didn't want to be seen taking sides. Marianne said, let them isolate you. That's what they do before the mask slips. She was right. 3 new citations appeared in my mailbox in a single week. Unapproved flagpole height, improper hedge trimming, and the best one, use of professional-grade lighting without permit. All unnumbered and signed and printed on cheap paper. I didn't argue. I documented, dated, logged, and photographed everything down to the ink streaks. Each infraction built the wall I was going to push back with. The plan was slow and patient. Keep their aggression climbing while my evidence cooled in the drawer. Meanwhile, Sunline Compliance LLC, my quiet ace, was officially cleared by the city to perform safety and maintenance checks on Parcel 14B. At dawn on July 9th, I put on an orange vest, clipped a badge to my belt, legally issued laminated reel, and walked the easement behind my fence. I took soil photos, measured runoff, and documented invasive vine growth. Nothing illegal, everything by procedure. A neighbor peeked out her window. By noon, word had reached the board that I was playing inspector. That evening, Denton left a voicemail, his tone brittle. You're not authorized to touch common areas, Mr. Mercer. Cease immediately, or we'll escalate this to council. I saved the recording. Marianne's reply was one sentence. They just confessed to assuming control of land they don't own. The first domino was wobbling. Knowledge nugget number 3. Misrepresentation of property jurisdiction. Claiming authority over land not under HOA ownership. Can void fines and expose board officers to personal liability under FLA Stat Section 720.3033 Sam came by with 2 coffees and his wheezy laugh. You're shaking the tree. Waiting to see what falls, I said. Just keep it lawful. They want you to slip. He pointed at my porch light, still bright every night. That little bulb might end up in the paper one day. That weekend, the HOA website posted a new policy. All residents must coordinate with HOA-approved inspectors for exterior work. A power grab written in panic. I filed an immediate complaint with the city's Office of Community Development, attaching the plat map and their illegal memo. A clerk named Vernon emailed back. We'll review under unauthorized jurisdiction claim. Expect follow-up within 15 business days. 15 days. I circled the date. August 4th. That was a renewal deadline for my easement contract. I needed them to overextend before that clock hit zero. On July 19th, a new letter came, certified this time. Final warning before litigation. It accused me of harassment, defamation, and unauthorized surveillance. I smiled. They're scared enough to start paying postage. The next board meeting was open session. The room was full, the tension sharp enough to taste. Den wore a navy blazer, sweating under the AC. He started reading from a prepared statement about hostile residents. I stood and said, "Before you finish, please note this for the record. Sunline Compliance, LLC currently holds maintenance rights to Parcel 14B, including authority for inspection and photographic documentation. Any interference constitutes obstruction of authorized public work." The room erupted in whispers. Denton's pen froze midair. "That's absurd," he stammered. "Check with Clearwater Utilities." I said, holding up a certified assignment. Signed June 21st, recorded July 2nd. He blinked. "You bought the easement?" "Leased it." I corrected. "Legally." The HOA attorney, a man with gold cufflinks and the posture of someone billing by the minute, leaned forward. "That's highly irregular." "So is trespassing," I said. Afterward, Sam clapped my shoulder in the parking lot. "You just hit reversal one," he said. I laughed. "You keep naming my plot points." "Just saying," he chuckled. "They'll retaliate again. Be ready." And retaliate they did. 3 days later, an anonymous account posted on a local Facebook group. "Man with gun seen confronting HOA volunteers." It took less than an hour for that lie to spread. I didn't even own a firearm. Marion warned, "Next, they'll go legal. Temporary injunctions, harassment claims, maybe even code complaints. Then I'll counter with facts." She nodded. "Facts win, but pain first. Be prepared." By end of July, I had a binder thicker than a phone book. Every page numbered, every file tabbed. Emily helped label them, her handwriting looping carefully. Emails, photos, citations, records. When she looked up, her eyes were serious. "Are we going to be okay?" "Yeah, kid," I said, tapping the binder. "We're not fighting, just proving." She smiled faintly. Mom would like that. Outside, thunder rolled low and steady, the kind that shakes window glass. It sounded like something building, a charge in the air, waiting for release. 2 days later, the rain came in sheets. I was fixing a downspout when a white sedan slowed in front of my driveway. Denton stepped out wearing a plastic raincoat and that same navy blue folder. He used to wave like a badge. He called over the sound of water hitting asphalt. "Mr. Mercer, we've filed a civil complaint. You'll be hearing from our attorney." I kept tightening the clamp on the pipe. "File away," I said without looking up. "Just make sure you spell my LLC's name right this time." He hesitated. "You can't own the easement." "Then prove it in court," I said. He got back in his car, tires hissing over the curb. The encounter lasted 40 seconds, but the chill in my gut stayed much longer. Emily watched from the window. I waved it off like it was nothing, but her eyes followed me all evening. That night, Sam came by soaked to the knees, holding 2 styrofoam cups. Word is, they hired outside counsel, Wilkins and Bay. Not cheap. "Desperation's expensive," I said. He took a sip. "You're running out of patience, huh?" "I'm running out of peace." Marianne called later with her voice crisp through the static. "They filed, but you're safe. The complaint's hollow. No standing. Still, we'll answer officially. Don't miss deadlines." "What's their argument?" "Defamation and interference. Problem is, you told the truth and acted within recorded rights. Let them bleed retainer fees." I laughed under my breath. Good. By midweek, the retaliation turned practical. HOA trucks parked outside at odd hours, measuring my fence again, taking photos of the porch light like it was a crime scene. I logged every visit with timestamps: 8:12 a.m., 11:34 a.m., 3:59 p.m., 8 in one day. Then came the letter of concern. Anonymous, printed, taped to my door. "For the safety of our community, please stop harassing volunteers." This could end badly. Emily found it before I did. She read it, folded it, and whispered, "They're scared, Dad." "Yeah," I said softly, "but fear makes people sloppy." The following weekend, Marianne and I met at her office. The place smelled like toner and cold coffee. She pointed to a section in the CC and RS. "This clause, see the phrase, subject to public access rights? That means your easement supersedes their privacy claim. They can't hold closed meetings about public land. It's a sunshine issue. So if I request their meeting recordings, they have to provide them." We filed another request that day, citing Section 720.303(2). A. Open records for any matter involving common area use. Knowledge nugget number 4. In many states, HOA boards must open any discussion involving common property or shared infrastructure to members. Executive sessions are limited to legal or personnel matters. Closed-door decisions on public easements violate transparency rules. A week later, a padded envelope arrived, anonymous again. Inside, a flash drive labeled meeting_UD_0718.mp3. The metadata said it came from the HOA secretary's email account. I played it through my office speakers. Denton's voice echoed, "We can't let him expose the fund discrepancies. If he keeps pushing, we'll say he's unstable. Get a wellness check order." Marianne listened, eyes narrowing. "That's retaliation and conspiracy. Keep it sealed. We'll use it later if needed." By now, the calendar screamed August 1st, renewal day for my easement contract. I drove to Clearwater Utilities, turned in a renewal form, and the clerk stamped it with a satisfying thunk. The ink was still wet when he said, "You're good for another year, Mr. Mercer." Outside, I leaned against the car and just breathed. The storm had broken. The sky still bruised but clearing. At home, Sam was waiting on my porch. "So," he asked. "They blinked," I said, "and I've got something better than a map now." "What's that?" "Proof they're dirty." He grinned. "You ready to drop it?" "Not yet. Timing's everything." He nodded. "Just don't forget why you started." I glanced at the window where Emily's science project was taped. Solar panels made from foil and cardboard. "I remember," I said. "This is about fixing what's broken, not burning it down." That night, thunder rolled again in the distance. The whole house smelled like wet wood and printer ink. I printed a new cover page of binder, HOA v. Mercer, response docket. My signature in blue ink felt like drawing a line they couldn't cross anymore. Debate time. If you've ever had an HOA fine you for something petty, what did you do about it? Did you pay, fight, or move out? Drop in the comments, or at least like the video so other homeowners find this story before they get trapped in the same mess. The next morning, the community bulletin board had been wiped clean of every flyer except one, emergency meeting. HOA members only, August 8th, 7 p.m. And in the corner, handwritten in blue marker, attendance mandatory. August 8th came humid and heavy, the air full of that metallic smell before a storm. The clubhouse lights glowed through the dusk like an interrogation room. Sam parked across the street, muttering, "Feels like they're setting a trap." "I'm walking in with facts," I said. "If they trip, it's on record." Inside, every folding chair was filled. Denton sat at the center table, his tie crooked, jaw tight. The HOA attorney whispered something to him and clicked a pen like a metronome. When he saw me, he pasted on a politician's smile. "Mr. Mercer, thank you for joining us." "I wouldn't miss it," I said, setting my binder on the table. The weight of it thudded like a gavel. He cleared his throat. "We're here to address continued violations, as well as disruptive conduct." "Before that," I said, flipping open the binder to a certified document, "I need the record to show Sunline Compliance LLC holds an active 1-year maintenance contract for Parcel 14B, renewed August 1st. Murmurs rippled through the room. Denton stammered, "You can't speak for her." "I'm not speaking for anyone," I said evenly. "I'm presenting jurisdictional evidence." He slammed his palm on the table. "This is harassment." "No," I said quietly. "This is accountability." That word hung in the air like thunder. He moved to adjourn, but a voice from the back stopped him. It was Karen, the landscaping manager who'd once warned me quietly, "Charles, if that's true, we've been finding residents for land we don't control." Gasps, whispers, the room fracturing. I watched his face drain of color. He knew the walls were closing in. Afterward, outside under flickering parking lot lights, Marianne called with an update. "The city inspector will attend the next meeting. You've got official backing now. Keep your calm till then." "Always do," I said, though my hands shook when I hung up. That night, the harassment went digital. My email pinged nonstop. Anonymous threats, taunts, even a photoshopped eviction notice. Someone also called Emily's school pretending to be from the board, asking about domestic issues. That one broke something in me. I stood at her bedroom door, watching her sleep, the faint hum of her nightlight painting her face soft and small. I whispered, "They can take my time, not my peace." By morning, I'd installed new security cameras, 2 extra floodlights, and a locked mailbox. Sam watched me work and said, "You're battening down for storm." "They already made landfall," I said. He nodded. Then we document the damage. The retaliation montage built like a drum line. August 10th. HOA citation for unauthorized security devices. August 11th. Inspection notice taped to my fence. No signature. August 12th. Complaint to code enforcement about construction noise at 2 a.m. filed under my address. Each was baseless. Each went into the binder. Marianne emailed late that week. "They're panicking. Don't respond emotionally. Our answer to their civil complaint is due Monday. I've drafted it." The next day, I printed it out, 21 pages of precision. She titled it, "Defendant's Response and Counterclaim for Declaratory Relief." I underlined her final paragraph. "The association's conduct constitutes willful harassment and selective enforcement. The defendant seeks judicial declaration, voiding fines, and confirming jurisdictional limits." That was the moment I realized we weren't defending anymore. We were defining. Still, I felt the fatigue creeping in. Late nights, constant vigilance, the hum of paranoia that comes when you're right but outnumbered. Emily noticed. She left a sticky note on my desk that said, "Mom would tell you to rest." I smiled at it every time I opened the laptop. Toward the end of that week, something shifted. Karen left me a voicemail, whispering, shaky, "You didn't hear this from me, but the board just voted to push an emergency special assessment. They're trying to pay legal fees with resident funds." That was their biggest mistake yet. Perfect. I told Sam when I saw him that evening. They're about to steal from everyone in daylight. He tapped his thermos against mine. "And you'll be there with the receipts." The following day, I received an envelope stamped assessment notice, effective immediately. It demanded $450 per household to cover extraordinary legal expenditures. The signature line bore Denton's name twice, once as president, once as treasurer, both illegal under the bylaws. Marianne confirmed it. Conflict of interest and misuse of funds. You've got them on 2 counts now. We just need a neutral witness for the meeting. "Who?" I asked. "I've already arranged it," she said. "City compliance officer, name's Richards. He'll sit in plain clothes and observe." The date was set August 22nd, 7 p.m. Sam looked at me over his mug. "You ready for the showdown?" "Not yet," I said, watching rain start again beyond the window. "But I'm almost there. Debate time for you watching. What's worse, an HOA that ignores its own rules or one that rewrites the mid-game? Drop your thoughts in the comments. It's the kind of question that decides whether a community survives or rots. August 22nd arrived clear and still, the kind of evening that makes even asphalt look calm before the storm. I wore my work shirt, blue Oxford, sleeves rolled, and carried only one thing, the binder. Sam walked beside me, hands in his pockets, thermos under his arm. "Remember," he said, "speak slow. Let them hang themselves on the silence." Inside, the clubhouse buzzed with forced chatter. Denton sat at the head table again, but his confidence looked paper-thin. A man in a gray suit stood near the back. Balding, neutral face. That had to be Richards, The city compliance officer Mary Ann sent. Denton opened the meeting. Due to recent disturbances, this emergency session will address our financial adjustments. Adjustments? I said loudly enough to cut through the murmurs. You mean the illegal assessment notice? Heads turned. A few residents shifted uncomfortably. Denton scowled. Mr. Mercer, please refrain. I slid a copy of the bylaws across the table, highlighting Article 9, Section 4. Special assessments require 75% member approval and 10 days' notice. You gave 0. He tried to retort, but the words stumbled out. We had an emergency. I leaned closer. The emergency being your legal bills. Gasps. Someone actually clapped once before catching themselves. Denton's voice wavered. We acted under counsel's advice. I turned to the attorney at his side. Then maybe counsel should read the statutes they're billing for. Richards, the city officer, stood up slowly. Mr. Denton, for the record, I'm here under municipal oversight. This meeting cannot authorize expenditures outside proper procedure. His badge flashed briefly under the fluorescent light. A hush fell over the room. Denton's mouth opened, then closed again. I could feel my pulse in my fingertips, but my voice stayed steady. I have here, I said, holding up a folder, the easement contract, their trespass footage, and the audio of a closed-door meeting discussing retaliation. The attorney straightened. That's confidential. It's evidence, I said. And since the land involved is publicly registered, so are its discussions. Richards cleared his throat. He's correct. The silence after that felt like a fuse burning out. Denton tried one last gambit. You can't record our meetings without consent. I nodded. Good thing this is Florida, one-party consent state. Informational, not advice. A few residents laughed nervously. Others whispered each other, faces flickering with realization. The room began to shift. You could see it. The moment a crowd stops believing in its king. Richard stepped forward. This proceeding is suspended pending review. Mr. Mercer, I'll need copies of those records for the municipal file. I handed him the binder's duplicates, every page numbered and notarized. That was reversal number 1, the secret leverage detonated in public. When we left the clubhouse, the night air smelled like wet pine and metal. Sam exhaled hard. You did it, Jake. Not yet, I said, eyes on the dark windows of the houses lining the street. They'll try to survive this. And you'll let them? Only long enough to fix what they broke. Over the next week, the fallout began quietly. 3 board members resigned, citing personal reasons. A local paper ran a small piece. Clearwater HOA faces oversight after resident complaint. Nothing big, yet, but the phone call started. Residents asking for copies of their own fines. Others thanking me in whispers. Mary Ann called with good news. The city found procedural violations in their finances. Auditors are coming. And Denton? He's stubborn, still claiming you doctored documents. I almost smiled. Then he hasn't seen the notarized timestamp on the easement file. She chuckled. Keep your calm till the audit hits. That's your domino moment. That evening, Emily joined me on the porch, feet tucked under her blanket. So are we safe now? Almost, I said, but the good kind of almost. She looked up at the sky, where porch lights shimmered off the humid air. Mom will be proud. I didn't answer right away. I just nodded, feeling something unclench inside me that had been tight for months. To everyone watching this far, when HOA crosses a line, would you fight them in court or take the quiet route like I did? Drop your thought below. Curious how many would stand up or walk away. The next morning, a plain white envelope waited in my mailbox. No return address, just a single sheet inside. You think you won? Watch the budget meeting. I knew right, then the game wasn't over. Only the board had changed, not the system. The budget meeting was set for September 3rd. 6 p.m., same clubhouse, same flickering fluorescent lights. I arrived early with Sam and Mary Ann. She carried a small black case, the kind lawyers use when they know they're about to close something. The room was half full when we walked in. Denton wasn't at the head table anymore. Instead, a younger man, Eric Levin, the vice president, sat there nervous, reading from a tablet. Due to resignations, he said, I'll be presiding over tonight's agenda. From the back row, Denton still hovered, arms crossed, eyes dark. The kind of silence that smells like gunpowder. Eric continued, voice shaking. We'll review the budget and address the city's pending audit. Marianne stood up, crisp and calm. Before you begin, I have a statement on behalf of Mr. Mercer and several residents. She opened the black case, pulled out a stack of documents, and placed them on the table. The slap echoed. This is a certified ledger showing misallocation of $18,642. It includes invoices signed by Mr. Denton without board authorization. Gasps. The number had weight. It hit the room like thunder. Denton stepped forward. This is defamation. Sit down, Charles, Eric said quietly. He blinked. Excuse me? I said sit down. Eric repeated louder. The city investigator is here. Everyone turned. Richards was back, in uniform this time, not plain clothes. His badge caught the overhead light like a sunrise. I'm here under municipal authority, he said. We confirmed improper disbursements from the HOA account to a private contractor registered under the name Denton Property Services. The crowd murmured. Someone whispered, That's his brother's company. Richards continued, reading from his notes. Under state law, that's a conflict of interest requiring disclosure and recusal. Failure to do so constitutes misuse of fiduciary duty. Denton's face went red. You people don't understand how HOAs work. Marianne cut in smoothly. We do, and so does the Attorney General's office, now that they have your minutes. Silence. Richards turned to me. Mr. Mercer, the evidence you provided corroborates these findings. You've done the right thing. He turned back to the room. This association is now under formal audit review. Effective immediately, Mr. Denton is suspended pending further investigation. The gavel Eric dropped wasn't ceremonial. It sounded like a lock clicking shut. That was visual beat number 2, the public set piece, the validation, the lawful ending of the storm's eye. I looked at Denton as he gathered his papers with shaking hands. For a second, I saw not the tyrant, but a man caught in his own web, terrified. He glanced at me, then looked away. No words. After the meeting, residents clustered in small circles, half stunned, half relieved. Sam stood near the door, wheezing out a laugh. Well, there's your domino collapse. Marianne closed her case. We'll get the reforms drafted next. Don't gloat, Jake. Just finish the job. I wasn't planning to, I said. This was never about ego. She nodded. Good. Because your leverage is still on the table. You can exchange it for real change. That night, I sat on my porch, binder open, listened to crickets under a sky that finally looked honest again. Emily came out barefoot, holding 2 mugs of cocoa. So now what? She asked. Now we fix it. I said. A week later, Marianne drafted the proposal. Term limits, transparent voting, an independent ethics committee annual audits, and a fee rollback for all residents fined under legal rules. She titled it the Clearwater Charter. At the next community gathering, we presented it, not as revenge, but as reform. The crowd voted almost unanimously to adopt it. Even Eric, the interim president, looked relieved. For the first time in months, I felt the neighborhood exhale. Still, one more trigger loomed. The final debate I promised. What punishment should exist for HOA officials who cross from paperwork to persecution? Should it be civil penalties or actual criminal charges? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every one, and this is how new laws are born. The last visual of that night stayed in my mind. The old violation notice curling the fire pit behind the clubhouse, edges glowing orange, the printed threats turning to ash. By late September, the audits were complete and the neighborhood felt different. Lawns looked greener, not because of new turf, but because people finally stepped outside again. For the first time in a year, no one whispered when they passed my porch. They waved like neighbors, not hostages. A small news segment aired on Channel 8. Local HOA faces reform after residents' complaint spurs audit. The reporter's voiceover was calm, factual, almost dull, but hearing it felt like standing in sunlight after months underground. Richards called the following week. The city concluded Den misused $18,642 in funds and falsified one maintenance invoice. He entered a plea agreement, restitution, and 1-year probation. The board accepted all reform conditions under the Clearwater Charter. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. So it's official. It's official, he said. You did the right thing, Mr. Mercer. Emily overheard, eyes wide. Does that mean it's over? Almost, I said. Now comes the healing part. We organized a small community day. Kids painting fences, neighbors planting flowers where no trespassing signs used to stand. Sam brought his thermos, same one that followed him through every scene of the saga. Marianne showed up in jeans for once, hair loose, laughing at something Emily said. Near the end of the day, Eric approached me, holding a clipboard. The board voted unanimously to dedicate the new park bench to your wife, he said quietly. You don't have to accept, but... I nodded before he could finish. She loved sitting under that oak. He smiled, relieved. Then it's settled. That night, I walked the property line, 10 feet of grass, still legally mine to maintain. The air smelled of cut wood and distant barbecue. For the first time since this began, I felt the ache fade from my chest. Inside, I wrote a letter to Marianne, Sam, and Richards. Thank you for proving justice can be quiet, methodical, and lawful. Before sealing it, I added one final line beneath my signature. No one wins in war, but communities heal in truth. And because this channel was built on those truths, I'll say this for anyone watching to the end. If you believe I fought the right way, and this is how it should end, say a few words in the comments for your friend or neighbor who's going through their own HOA battle. Subscribe so future stories reach you first. As responsible citizens, share this so others learn and get inspired. That's on us. The following week, the county website published a consent decree. Term limits, 2 years maximum for board positions. Transparent voting, all ballots public record. Independent ethics committee formed with rotating residents. Fee rollback, $27,000 refunded to overcharged households. Annual audit reports to be posted online. It was more than I'd hoped for when the first letter hit my mailbox. Visual beat number 3 came quietly, a crisp autumn morning, when I walked Emily to the new park bench. The brass plaque read, "In memory of Sarah Mercer, fairness is the highest form of courage." She ran her fingers over the letters and said, "She liked that. She liked all of this." I said, looking at the houses, the kids, the open gates. As the sun climbed higher, I thought about what had changed, then moved to another county. Eric stayed on just long enough to hand the presidency to Karen. The HOA insurance carrier issued a compliance bulletin citing new transparency protocols. And the story traveled. Other neighborhoods reached out, asking for copies of the Clearwater Charter. The final shot, if you could see it, would be simple. Me closing that old binder, the one with every notice, every photograph, every letter, and sliding it into a file box labeled resolved. The lid snapped shut with a sound that felt like peace. I turned off the porch light for the first time in months. Then I smiled and said softly, "Next case."